Can man see God? And the answer is yes. Otherwise, saints have lied. That was a part of the reading. So I started off with when did Master see God first? And in Autobiography, he shares that his experience as young Mukunda, one day he had a powerful thought within himself. What is hidden behind the darkness of the closed eyes? He had this powerful thought, and he gazed deeply in his closing his eyes, and then there was a magnificent, immense flash of light. He could see that, and it became a beam of a circle, and it started expanding towards infinity in all directions. And out loud he asked, "Who's this? What is this?" And he received a divine answer: "I am Ishvara. I am light." That was his first experience of seeing God behind the closed eyes. Well, can we see God like that? Yes, we too can. And why aren't we able to see God then? Well, I've read a few books, so I know the answer. The answer is Maya. And what is Maya? Again, it's a veil which separates us from God. And how to lift that veil? Again, I've read books, I know. Practice Kriya Yoga. And the veil is lifted. It's easy, but that's where it gets tricky. You see, that veil actually does not exist. There is no veil at all. We think that God, I'm me, you are you, and God is someone else. He's a third party, you see. But that's how the mind plays tricks. In reality, it's not so. Can you say who created this universe? God? Well, it was a trick question. God did not create the universe. God became the universe. He became you and me. And thinking that God is different from you and me is duality. Now, I like to share a poem from the Whispers of Eternity, where Master has written this: "Thou and I are one. Thy cosmic life and I are one. Thou art the ocean, I am the wave, we are one. Thou art the flame, I am the spark, we are one. Thou art the flower, I am the fragrance, we are one. Thou art the father, I am thy child, we are one. Thou art the beloved, I am the lover, we are one. Thou art the lover, I am the beloved, we are one. Thou art the song, I am the music, we are one. Thou art the spirit, I am all nature, we are one. Thou art the master, I am thy servant, we are one. Thou art the light, I am the atom, we are one." And he ends it that thou and I were one, and thou and I will be one evermore. Assuming that God is somewhere else, even Yogananda thought so. He writes in the chapter Cosmic Consciousness, he had experienced the cosmic consciousness. He has experienced that he was one with the entire creation and all that is. And even in the Samadhi poem, he writes, "Thou art I am thou. Knower, knowing, knower, and known as one." He also writes, "Myself in everything enters the great myself." Even after having that experience, he goes to Yukteswarji and asked, "I want to know, when shall I find God?" So Yukteswarji replies, "You have already found him." And Master says, "Oh no, sir, I don't think so." And he smilingly assured, and I should read the exact line of that. I am sure you aren't expecting a venerable personage adorning a throne in some antiseptic corner of the cosmos. So, Master Yukteswarji made Master understand that experiencing that ever new joy, that is God. And there's another story of Adi Shankara in the same lines. You might have heard the story of Adi Shankara and Chandala. Adi Shankara, a great saint, is in Varanasi. Was in Varanasi, and he took a dip in Ganges to purify himself, and now he's walking towards Kashi Vishwanath temple to do his prayers through a narrow lane. And who comes in front of him was a Chandala. Chandala is the lowest of the low, like an undertaker who deals with disposing corpse, and he's not touchable according to those times. So Adi Shankara looks at this dirty Chandala in ragged clothes, 4 dirty dogs running around him, and he stops and he says, "Please step aside. I'm going to worship Kashi Vishwanatha." And Chandala looks at him and says, "Who are you asking to step aside? This body or this soul?" And then that struck Adi Shankara really deep. And then he goes ahead and writes Manisha Panchakam, in which he describes the body, although the bodies are different, there is one spirit lies within everyone and the entire creation. And Adi Shankara needed that lesson. So what does this mean to us? Can we see God? Yes. But how? In day-to-day life, we come across lots of people, and everyone would not behave the way we want them to behave. And some of their actions might trigger anger or irritation within us. And every time we feel those emotions, we can be assured that we are pulling down the veil. We are stepping away from God. Is it easy to practice? No, not at all. And I can say you from experience, because we do practice that, we try practicing that, not alone, myself alone. I go out and ask help. I go to Chika, Meg or Amit and say like, I know God is in this person, but I really can't see it. We try. And I know it's difficult. And one of the Siddhas in Tamil said, he has given a couplet: if I see the dancer, I cannot see the dance. If I see the dance, then I cannot see the dancer. What he meant, imagine if somebody is performing a dance and all you're looking at them, or all you're doing is looking at them and say, how beautiful this girl or boy is, wow. You won't be able to see their skill in the dance, right? Similarly, what he actually meant was, if you are seeing the creation, you won't be able to see the creator. The moment you see the creator, the creation ceases to exist. Or in other words, as long as you're running behind God's gift, God will be elusive. The moment you choose God, and then you will be able to see Him. And we have no choice. We have to love God in everyone. We have to try our best to see everything in the divine light. We may fail. We will fail. No problem. Because Master has said God does not mind our mistakes, but He minds our indifference. The fact that we are ignoring something just because it is not convenient to us, He minds that. But if we try to be perfect, if we try to see God in everything, one day He has to reveal Himself. Because He has no choice, you see, other than to love us, because He is us. And once some disciple told Paramhansa, made a grave mistake, and Paramhansa Yogananda scolded him for something. And at last he was feeling guilty, and he asked Master, will you forgive me? Will you love me as you did before? And Paramhansa Yogananda replied, of course I do. what choice I have. That's the best part. They don't have a choice but to love us, which means that they will have to reveal themselves. I mean, God will have to reveal Him at some point. All we have to do is cooperate with Him by trying to see everything in the light of divine. Now, I'll also like to end with a prayer demand, which will help us to see everything in the light of God. The prayer number is 108. Demand to see God in everything. O Father, may I behold Thee above, beneath, behind, around, wherever I turn my gaze. Train the children of my senses never to stray from Thee, who dwellest at the heart of everything. Turn my eyes inward to Thy changeless beauty. Attune my ears to silence, that I may hear Thy subtlest music. Breathe on me the heavenly scent of Thy sacred peace. Orient-wise, I will worship Thee, placing the candles of my five senses on the altar of my love. Thus, I will contact Thee in the first pale shafts of dawn, observe Thee in the bright light of noon, expand in Thee with the hidden glow of twilight, and merge in Thee in the silver moonlight. Always will I keep alight on my inner altar the music taper of my love for Thee. Om.
Hari was mentioning about saints. Saints didn't lie because that's what we are all here, probably we believe some of them. So one of the saints, his name was Saint Anthony. He used to live in desert, and very austere life he led, pretty much all in isolation, in seclusion, pretty much all the time. And whatever challenges that lifestyle brought to him, and through that he learned a lot of things, and people respected him for that as well. So similar time, there was a conflict happened at one point where one sect was saying like whether Jesus Christ really was an avatar or the great being as everybody was thinking about or not. So they said we will ask Saint Anthony. So then Saint Anthony for that particular time went out of his seclusion and then went and talked to these guys. And they said, this is our dilemma. Do you think Jesus Christ is that kind of a person? He said, yes. This is how. And to that he very strongly, confidently answered, because I have seen him. And that's all he said, and went back to the seclusion. And that had given, because everybody respected him, they, at least one faction of that conflict completely accepted what he said. And that was a conviction that he had, and that he was able to give that to the people as well. In our path, Yogananda ji talks, again in level 1, we talk about these aspects of God, no? Like different aspects. Because he said, the answer to that, can man see God, could be yes or no, but you, everyone who practices, has to have that conviction, says, yes, because I have seen it. And to that, to make it even more tangible, Yogananda ji gives up those aspects, no? Like those of you who have, I think pretty much as I see here, everyone has meditated and have some experience of whatever he talks about in that meditation. And you see that has that extreme power. What does it mean? Like we go into our meditation, even whatever little tangible peace that we feel, a joy that we feel, or a love that comes out, what does that tell us? No, all this time our minds have been telling, oh, I have to have a better lifestyle because that is going to bring me a joy. No, I need to marry this person, or I need to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend because then I will be able to express my love, isn't it? Right? I stop this all noise so that I can be peaceful with myself. And all of a sudden now we just sit and see this peace just happens on its own. A little tangible joy comes on its own. An experience of love comes first without anything which is outward. All of a sudden, all this time, the belief that we had, our mind was constantly saying that I need this, I need that. It says no, because it's already here. You see what a great freedom it just brings. Now that is our basis and a firm ground we can say we stand on. But as Hari was talking about even Yoganandaji's own story, Our mind never stops. Now it just starts weaving different kinds of stories. Many times when we sit in meditation, okay, this meditation isn't as good. Maybe God is not there anymore. Yesterday was better. Maybe he had more free time and he was giving me everything, isn't it? Even Yogananda ji asked something like, can I find God? After he goes through that experience, again we can put words what that experience was, he writes that and he comes back, and I'm sure again they play out this whole game so that we understand how we go through many things. So what does that actually mean? Yogananda ji in later talks, if you haven't listened to some of the talks, we have his voice. He talks about that, I am always in samadhi internally. Now this is the time when he's speaking just like one-on-one. He's not like moving, or his eyes are not up and then he is not unmovable. He's saying, at this moment as I speak to you, I am inside in samadhi. You see, so that experience, even if we feel something, it has to be something tangible and present all the time. God is, as Hari was talking about, is not like sometimes present. He's not sometime available, but he is available all the time, even at this very moment. We talked about this as a practitioner, yoga practitioner. What do we say? Yogic have to be even-minded and cheerful at all times. I said, yeah, that makes sense. Something always says yes inside ourselves, no? So initially, when I started reading about it, I felt, yeah, I should practice that. So no matter whether joy comes or sorrow comes, it doesn't matter. I am going to be even-minded. But again, what does that mean? Actually, no one knows. I had my own understanding. So then, that time, life brought me not sorrow, thankfully, but a lot of joy. But I said, no, I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. I should be even-minded. So I was trying to just push away that joy. And I have to be even-minded. And to my utter disappointment, what happened? The joy came and I became joyful. I said, this is an utter disaster. No? And then I was reflecting again. It took probably some time. I said, this is not. What kind of a life it would be if we just start refusing what life brings to us? But then, see, the point of this is like in time, if you reflect on your own life, it is not that one is perennially happy. Neither that a perennial or sorrow doesn't exist. That's the nature of, as we talk about duality, everybody will have their own share of joy and everybody will have their own share of sorrow. But then, what on earth are we talking about when we talk about being even-minded? Very recently, I heard this analogy somewhere on the internet, and they talk about like a two bird. There's on the tree, there is this bird, and this bird was very dynamic, meaning he liked to go here, and then he would come back and then say, I want to explore the mountains, and they will go, and again come back, he will go to the deep sorrows, deep valleys, high in the sky, somewhere, very, very active, very agile. And on the same tree, on the branch above, there was another bird. Now this bird was not as dynamic. In fact, it was not moving at all. It was just sitting there and observing the movement of all this, the other bird which was just going here, moving all over the place. It never moved, but it always observed the movement. And as the analogy goes, both these birds are within us. And in fact, you can also say that the bird which is still is the heart of the bird which is more dynamic. And that is the space they talk about, being even-minded, cheerful, like be rooted in that anchor. Life moves up and down, but possibility of being on the stable ground is only found in this bird that they talk about. We also were in Vrindavan recently, and then we met Brahmachari there, Shamal Brahmachari, and then he spent quite some time with Anand Mahima, and he was telling us some stories, and then very nice, he said like he has been there for like last 20-30 years in that same ashram. So he said the first time he was sent there, they just said, do you go there? Okay, so he went there. He had no idea, very young guy he was. And he looked at the ashram register and says, the expenses, this is long time ago, are 18,000 rupees. Income, 8,000 rupees. And then he panics, he says, how am I going to run this place? So he wrote a letter to the person, the senior who sent him there. No reply. He said, like, maybe they're not receiving my letter. So he sent again. This time he did the register post. So yes, the register stamp came back, the letter, still no response. I said, like, what on earth? How am I going to run it? And he says now, after this has been 30 years, now our expenses are not 18,000 anymore, but it's like 2.5 lakhs. And our incomes are still the same thing, like a 1 lakh. We still are in deficit of 50%, but no matter what, for last 30 years, it is still somehow functioning. And then he says, like, what has this taught me is just that this is not my work. This entire show, not only just the ashram, even my own life is actually not mine. He talked about Ma is taking care of it. And he says, like, one of the important and very profound teachings that Ma gave, he says, like, you can't meditate 6 hours a day, it's okay. That's fine. So only one thing I ask of you. Just remember all the time that who is running the show. And he had a very beautiful smile on his face. After 30, 40 years of practice, he says, but I still forget. And that is the profundity, you see. Like as Hari was talking about, the separation is all created by our minds. It is not that we need to achieve anything. He also talked about knower, knowing and known to be the one. No, we play these roles. Even the whole thing of I am seeking God is also just in the phenomenal realm. The seeker will just disappear after the prasad comes out. No, I'm not quite seeking, I'm seeking samosa, isn't it? But even while this whole drama is playing out, at that moment there is a place within us which always is still accessible. That bird, it's not just a myth, isn't it? If I ask any one of you, like, in terms of describe, how do you feel or what is it that you're doing? We have that innate capacity, isn't it? We say that, don't ask me questions right now, my mind is too agitated. Huh? Or it says, no, too many thoughts are going on, this is not the best time to talk. Or it said, yes, you have my complete attention, now we can speak. So something within us always know what's going on. And we generally have this tendency, we always say, what is it? But the moment we ask the questions, who really knows everything? Who is it that is reporting all the things that has been saying? And not answering this question, but just the moment we look at it, even at this moment, you see, all of a sudden we have this jump from that bird which was just going here and there. We take a jump and we go to the vicinity of the bird who's a little still. And when we are spending that time on that branch, which is always there, knows a lot more than even the bird which is going away, we're not only, and then we ask this question, can you see God? It's not, the answer is not only yes, you are in His vicinity. As one of the chants that Swamiji writes, rest in God, live in God. And it's in that also there's an exhalation, a settlement. Not that we stop living in life, but just live life in Him. Joy to you.